Not everything out there fits in a textbook. Some creatures look like they crawled straight out of a nightmare, and yet they're real. Rare clips, strange encounters, and living things most people had no idea existed. On a sunny beach day, things took a wild turn. A strange creature washed ashore, huge, with limbs poking out all over its body. It looked like a giant prawn, but without a head. No eyes, no mouth, just this pale, freaky body that could not be identified by anything from this earth. Some people thought it was a deep-sea creature brought up by a storm. Others whispered about secret experiments gone wrong. Everyone pulled out their phones, but no one dared touch it. One thing's for sure, this wasn't something you'd expect to find while building sandcastles. Grave intruder. In Srinagar, a visitor went to pay his respects at a loved one's grave, but was confronted by an unsettling sight. Inside the grave, a small creature was making strange sounds. It had an eerie shape, almost like the character Dobby from Harry Potter. Seeing anything move within a grave was already strange, but this was beyond unsettling. Was it feeding on the deceased? The thought chilled him to the core. Feeling the weight of something unnatural in the air, he quickly left, not wanting to find out more. Some encounters are too strange to understand, especially in a place meant for peace. Dino look-alike. It looked like something straight out of Jurassic Park. Bright orange, chunky body, and those tiny eyes watching from the water. That's what people saw when they came across a rare Chinese giant salamander. But this wasn't some baby reptile. It's the largest amphibian on Earth, growing longer than most humans are tall. It was found in a quiet waterway, calmly chilling like it owned the place. These salamanders are critically endangered, and finding one in the wild was like discovering buried treasure. It proved they're not extinct yet, and with some help, they might just make a comeback. Feathered Mystery. At a quiet farm, the owner looked out and spotted a bird he didn't recognize. Perched on top of a cage, it had a weirdly long neck and fur the color of orange flames. It wasn't acting scared. In fact, it stared back like it belonged there. The farmer snapped a photo, knowing this was no ordinary bird. Maybe a rare heron, maybe something new. Whatever it was, experts started digging for answers after the pictures hit the internet. And now, bird watchers are on high alert, hoping to spot the mystery creature before it vanishes again. Strange sight. Down by the docks, a fisherman was doing his usual routine when he spotted something odd wriggling near the edge. At first glance, it looked like any other fish, until it opened its mouth. Inside were teeth, human-like, straight and unsettling. Black markings covered its body, giving it a weirder look. But this wasn't some horror movie creature, it was a sheep's head fish, and believe it or not, it's totally real. Known for its strong bite and great flavor, this fish is actually a favorite among coastal anglers. Creepy or not, the fisherman grabbed his gear. This was dinner. Sewer thing. When workers went down to fix a broken pipe, they weren't expecting anything out of the ordinary, just another day on the job. But that changed fast. One of them spotted movement behind the pipe. He aimed his light and froze. There, staring back, was a tiny creature with glowing eyes and zebra-like skin. Its body looked like a weird mix between a bird and a rat. Nobody could explain what it was. Maybe it escaped from a lab. Maybe it wasn't supposed to exist at all. Stone eyes. Some hikers in Brazil were just wrapping up their trek when they came across a massive rock formation, and inside it, something was watching them. Two glowing eyes, tucked deep in the shadows, locked onto them like a statue come to life. The creature didn't move an inch, just stared. The group froze, trying to figure out what they were seeing. It didn't match any animal they knew. Maybe it was something ancient. Maybe it was something that never wanted to be found. They backed away, fast. Whatever it was, it clearly didn't want company. Alien find. A tiny village in China found itself at the center of something straight out of a UFO story. A pale, odd-looking creature with huge bug eyes was discovered near the outskirts. It didn't resemble any animal from the area. Locals were creeped out but curious, so they reported it. When experts showed up, they revealed something shocking. This thing wasn't from Earth. That's right, a real-life alien. Just sitting there like it got lost on the way to Mars. Now the question isn't if aliens exist, it's where the rest of them are hiding. Reptile Man. It happened in the dead of night. Locals spotted something standing still in the shadows. It had the shape of a man, but its skin was dark and scaly, almost reptilian. Its eyes glowed, locked onto them like it could see right through their thoughts. The face looked strangely human, but everything else was wrong. Some thought it was an alien experiment. Others believed it was something old, something supernatural. A djinn, maybe, hiding in the darkness like the old stories warned about. Nobody dared get closer. Whatever that thing was, it didn't follow them, but it definitely saw them. Creeping swarm.
Beauty for someone else.
In Mundgod, India, a villager had his night turned upside down. As he walked a quiet path, he saw something squirming ahead, dozens of shapes twisting through the dirt. At first, he thought they were snakes, but nope. It was a swarm of millipedes marching together like an army, legs moving in perfect sync. He didn't step forward, just watched, frozen. They weren't dangerous, but the sight was straight up unsettling. It was like nature had its own little secrets crawling right under our noses, hidden in plain sight.
Direction call 조금 한대사고 나가서 조가샤 시드데.
Tail thing. A guy was just trying to sleep when he felt something on the bed. He opened his eyes and saw a creature crawling toward him, slow and steady. Its upper half looked human, kind of. But the bottom half, it had a tail, not like a lizard's, but more flexible, almost like it was built to slither. It had humanoid hands and a face that didn't blink. That was enough. The man didn't wait to figure it out. He jumped off the bed and bolted out of the room. Whatever that thing was, it didn't belong in anyone's house, especially not in bed. Toothace. In his backyard, a man spotted a weird creature crawling out of the soil. It had no eyes. None. Just a flat face with two huge front teeth poking out like tiny tusks. It didn't seem scared, just confused. The man filmed it and posted the clip. Soon, people told him what he'd found. A greater blind mole rat. These animals live underground and almost never surface. Their eyesight is useless, so they use vibrations and touch to move around. This one must have gotten lost while digging. Before long, it vanished back into the dirt, like it never existed at all. Giant head turtle. While walking along a riverbank, an explorer noticed something odd poking out from the mud. He bent down and found a turtle, but its head was way too big for its body. It wasn't a trick of the light. This turtle looked like it was built in reverse. After checking online, he figured out it was a big-headed turtle, a rare and threatened species. He quickly reported the sighting, knowing that this wasn't something you keep quiet about. That moment in the woods became a small win for conservation, proof that some of these creatures are still out there. Shapeshifting Owl. A group of friends in Mexico thought they'd spend the night exploring an old abandoned house, hoping for a glimpse of something ghostly. Instead, they saw something far stranger. Perched nearby was an owl, but not like any they'd seen before. its head twisted unnaturally, staring them down with an unsettling intensity. They couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just a bird. It might have been a bruja, a Spanish witch, or something far darker, maybe even a shapeshifter. Feeling a chill run through them, they left in a hurry, convinced they'd encountered something ancient and dangerous. Worm beast. Get ready for this one. It's gross, fast, and totally real. A fisherman pulled up a creature that looked part snake, part worm, and part nightmare. It had a bunch of little legs, like things all over its body, and wriggled like it was late for something. At first glance, you'd think it was some deep-sea monster, but nope, it was a king ragworm. These creepy-looking things are actually prized bait for fishing, because they move so naturally in the water. The guy tossed it into a bucket to keep it fresh. Gross? Yes. Clever fishing strategy? Also yes. Hairy mystery. A short video started making rounds online, and it was creepy enough to give anyone the chills. It showed a long, worm-like creature covered in strange, hair-like strands, wiggling around in a container. Some people thought it was a mutant, others were convinced it was a new species. But turns out, it was a marine segmented worm, one of those deep-sea hunters that hide during the day and come out at night. Its look was wild, sure, but it's not from outer space. Just another reminder that the ocean is full of weird stuff. Most of it is still unknown. Winged hatchling. A leaked video from inside a lab instantly went viral. It showed a sealed glass box. Inside, an egg had just cracked open. What came out looked like a chameleon, but with leathery wings. The thing blinked slowly, curling its tail as it stretched. The internet went wild. Was this a real dragon? Chameleons don't have wings. They don't hatch like this either. Scientists kept quiet, but rumors started flying. Genetic experiments, ancient DNA, secret programs. The creature didn't just look odd, it looked legendary. And for the first time, people weren't laughing at the word dragon. Berry-faced catch. At a freezing alpine lake 12,000 feet above sea level, a fisherman cast his line expecting trout. Instead, he pulled up two small creatures with bulbous black faces that looked like, no joke, blackberries. They wriggled, they blinked, and then they swam off when he let them go. Confused, the man later looked them up and discovered they were called blackberry goldfish, a super rare variety that looked more like fruit than fish. The fact they were found at that altitude made it even weirder. That day, the fisherman didn't just get a story, he got bragging rights for life. Lake Watcher. While exploring a remote mountain lake, a group of hikers caught something chilling on camera. Beneath the surface, they spotted a massive head, kind of like a gecko, but way too big. Its eyes, its shape, everything about it was off. It didn't match any known animal. Some guessed it was a prehistoric creature that survived against all odds. Others thought it was something mythic, like a guardian from old folklore. But what shook them the most was how it locked eyes with the camera, not blinking, just watching, as if it knew, as if it remembered. They didn't stick around to see if it would come closer. River skull. A Russian fisherman was out doing what he'd done 100 times before, casting lines and pulling in the usual. But this time, the catch didn't belong. Instead of a fish, he reeled in something with a long, twisted skull. It had strange features, almost like a face, but warped. It looked more alien than animal. Holding it felt wrong. The longer he stared, the more it felt like the thing was staring back, not blinking, just waiting. That was enough. He tossed it back into the water and stepped away. Some things you just don't keep. Skinwalker Animal.
What the hell is that?
A woman was chilling in her backyard when something weird caught her eye. It looked like an owl, same shape, same feathers, but it wasn't acting right. It just sat there in the grass, frozen. No blinking, no twitching, nothing. That alone made it super unsettling. The longer she stared, the less it felt like a bird. It almost looked like something trying to look like an owl, but not quite pulling it off, like a creature in disguise. She didn't get closer, just watched from a distance, uneasy. And honestly, whatever that thing was, it wasn't just bird-watching material.
What the hell is that?
Window thing. A man filmed what might be one of the creepiest things online right now. The clip shows a dark figure standing still, just outside his window. Not moving, not doing anything, just staring. It looked like some kind of ancient creature with weird skin and deep-set eyes, like a dinosaur, but way too human to make sense. It didn't smash the glass or make a sound. It just stood there. He didn't go outside to check. He stayed quiet and waited, hoping it would leave. That short video? Yeah, it left people feeling seriously creeped out. Tiny visitor. Back in 1996, a strange discovery sent shockwaves through a Russian village. In Kaolinovo, near Kishtim, a small humanoid figure with a large head and thin limbs was found lying by the road. It looked nothing like a baby or animal, more like something out of a sci-fi movie. The locals named it Alyoshenka. Some swore it was an alien, others said it was a hoax. Scientists examined it, but before they could reach any conclusion, the body vanished. No trace, no explanation, just old footage, and a whole lot of questions that still haunt people today. Fake rescue. A fisherman stood near the river, ready to cast his line, when he saw something that stopped him cold. A human hand reaching out from the water. Thinking someone was drowning, he rushed forward to help. But just before jumping in, he froze. That hand wasn't real. It was a crocodile, using its limb to mimic a person in trouble. A clever trick designed to lure people in. It had done this before, and it would do it again. This wasn't just a clever animal. It was a cold-blooded hunter with a plan. One wrong move, and he would have been gone. Spiked discovery.
Don't collect me.
Way down in the Anagata Passage, something spiky and alive was crawling on the ocean floor. A marine biologist spotted it first, thinking it was a weird underwater plant. But then it moved. It wasn't a plant. It was a Neolithodes, a spiny crab species that barely anyone knew about. Long legs, sharp armor, and a strange way of creeping around made it clear. This wasn't just one odd creature. It was proof of an entire hidden world deep under the waves. The kind of place that stays dark, quiet, and full of secrets, waiting to be found.
With cake?
Sampler, but it's just gonna...
Stick trick. At first glance, it looked like a dry stick was moving. A tiny thing, walking on its hands like it had somewhere to be. But the more people looked, the stranger it got. That stick was a violin mantis, a bug so well camouflaged it could hide in plain sight. More of them were found across India, on plants, trees, even on people's hands. Long twig-like legs and a body that blended into leaves made it nearly invisible. This creature didn't need strength or speed. It survived by outsmarting everything around it. Nature flexed hard with this one. Creepy find. Back in 2018, something truly weird showed up in China. A creature with a face kind of like a human, thin arms and legs, lying motionless on the ground. But then, it twitched. That thing was alive. Crowds formed. No one wanted to touch it. Finally, one guy picked it up, and it moved again, jerking its limbs in an unnatural way. A video hit the internet fast. and everyone had a theory. Some screamed mutants, others blamed pollution, but one guess stood out. It came from the deep sea, where strange creatures like this hide from daylight. Whatever it wasn't supposed to be there. Tiny Dino.
I got scared, I ain't gonna lie.
At first, it looked like just another dusty tire, but as the hiker leaned in, he spotted something strange clinging near the edge. A tiny creature with a long neck, standing still like a statue. It looked like a mini dinosaur, straight up bizarre. Curious but cautious, he poked it with a stick, and it moved. Not just a twitch, it reacted. This wasn't a toy or some rubber lizard, it was alive. He knew right away this wasn't something anyone sees every day. Maybe it's a new species, or something we thought had vanished. Whatever it was, it could flip the script on what we think we know.
Bro, what is this? Look at that.
Poke its neck.
Fluffy surprise. People couldn't stop watching the video. A small, fluffy creature curled up like a plush toy, barely bigger than a hand. Maybe about 15 to 35 centimeters. It looked too cute to be real. But it was a silky anteater, one of the smallest in the world. Covered in soft fur and barely noticeable in the trees, this little guy stays hidden in the high canopy, living a slow, quiet life. Unlike its bigger cousins, it doesn't make much noise or mess. It just exists, chilling up there, minding its business. The internet just found it, but nature's had it on the VIP list for years. Silky Digger. While scanning the desert floor, a group of researchers spotted something odd, a small creature kicking up sand. At first, it looked like a hamster having a bad day, but then they caught a glimpse of silky pink fur and a tiny shell sliding just beneath the surface. It was a fairy armadillo. These rare little animals live underground almost all their lives, so catching one above ground is like spotting a ghost. The crew froze, just watching. No one dared move too fast. With habitat loss making these creatures even rarer, this wasn't just a cool moment, it was history in motion. Zombie crawler. A couple filming in their home thought they found a bug just dragging itself along, but something felt off. Its shell was moving, but there was nothing inside. No body, no guts, just an empty frame, crawling like it still had life. Turns out, it was a victim of a parasitic fungus, one that hijacks its host's body and takes full control. What they saw was no longer the bug, it was a puppet. The fungus uses the shell like a disguise, keeping it moving just enough to infect the next target. Creepy doesn't even begin to cover it. Ceiling creepers. Homeowners got the scare of their lives when they started hearing weird scratching noises from above. When they finally looked up, they saw small, white, two-legged creatures peeking through the ceiling. Panicked, they called for help. But once experts arrived, the big reveal hit. It was just a group of baby owls. Owlets. Somehow, they had set up camp inside the ceiling. Their ghostly look and silent stares were nightmare fuel, but in reality, they were just feathery squatters looking for a warm place to nap. Alien runner. A man stepped out for some fresh air, but froze when he saw a coyote sprinting after something strange. It wasn't a rabbit or a cat. This thing was tall, skinny, and had a long, pointed face, almost like a bird and alien mixed together. It jumped clean over a dustbin and disappeared. The coyote sniffed around and gave up, wandering off. Just when the man thought it was over, the creature launched out of the trash can and bolted down the street. It had been hiding in plain sight the whole time. Whatever it was, it didn't belong in the neighborhood. Grave watcher. Visitors at a quiet graveyard stopped in their tracks when they spotted something unusual. Perched on one of the headstones was a large bird. but not a normal one. It looked soft and furry, with sharp eyes and an eerie stillness. It didn't move when they got closer. Instead, it puffed up its fur like it was guarding something. Some believed it was an owl. Others weren't so sure. What gave everyone chills was the way it refused to leave that one grave. Whether it was protecting something or waiting for something, no one wanted to stick around to find out. Horned snake. Near a sewage ditch, a man spotted something that didn't sit right. Slithering through the muck was a long, snake creature, but with actual horns on its head. It wasn't just a weird bump or deformity. These were real, curved horns. Snakes aren't supposed to have those. The man backed away, trying not to make a sound. Maybe it was some unknown species. Maybe someone had tampered with nature. Whatever it was, it didn't belong there, and the villager wasn't about to stick around to become part of the mystery. Creepy road thing. In 2022, drivers in Ohio slammed on their brakes, not for another car, but for something much weirder. Strolling across the road was a creature that looked stitched together from nightmares. It had 4 long, spider-like legs, a floating tail, and no clear face. It wasn't a deer. It wasn't a dog. Some folks said it looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. This wasn't the first time it had been seen either. Locals had whispered about it before. Now, with footage online, authorities were finally looking into it. Real or hoax, nobody was crossing that road the same way again. Petrified Mystery. In 2011, a farmer in Russia felt the ground shake beneath his feet. When he went to check, he stumbled upon something unimaginable. In the melting permafrost, a strange figure lay frozen in the ice. Its body was stiff, almost like stone, and its features weren't like anything he'd ever seen before. Its head was strangely shaped, and its limbs were all wrong. Some thought it was an undiscovered animal, frozen in time. Others believed it could be something even more mysterious, an ancient being that had been waiting to be unearthed. With the Arctic warming, it was clear that this discovery was just the tip of the iceberg. Cursed house. Neighbors had been hearing odd noises coming from an old house for days. When they finally gathered the courage to investigate, they were met with a terrifying sight. A figure dressed in black, moving in unnatural ways. The walls behind it were covered with strange symbols, hinting at something darker, perhaps a ritual or cult activity. The air was thick with something unholy, and they feared the figure wasn't human. Terrified, they locked the house up, sealing away whatever was inside. From that day forward, the house stood untouched, its dark secrets buried in silence.
No la estamos molestando, vimos que se cayó y queríamos venir a auxiliarla.
Ancient creature.
Binatang langka.
A villager noticed something unusual by a tree. At first, he thought it was just a monkey, but as he looked closer, he realized the creature's eyes were unlike anything he'd ever seen. Large and yellowish, they seemed out of place on its small, odd body. The creature swayed gently, blending in with the tree before it suddenly leaped away, vanishing into the forest. Later, he learned it was a Horsfield's tarsier, a species that had been around for 45 million years. A living relic, hidden away in the shadows. It serves as a reminder of the ancient world that still exists quietly in ours.
Apa?
Strange movement. This guy was just going for a walk when he noticed something twitching on the ground. At first, he thought it was wood or a crumpled bag, but then it moved in a slow, crawling way. And its face, if you could call it that, looked like a worm with tiny eyes. He pulled out his phone and started recording. A bunch of people online called it a bagworm, but he wasn't convinced. The thing had this weird, unnatural flow to it. Not like a bug, not like anything he'd seen before. And after that, he couldn't shake the feeling it wasn't from around here. Roof crawler. In Spencer, Oklahoma, a guy looked up and spotted something crawling on a rooftop. But this wasn't a raccoon or some animal out of place. Its crawl was too strange, almost like it was glitching. It looked human, but not fully. Some neighbors blamed it on a bear, others guessed it was just an owl, but a few believed it was something else entirely. It moved with purpose, then vanished into the dark like it had never been there. No sounds, no signs, just that creepy feeling sticking around, like whatever it was might still be watching from somewhere close. Trapdoor hunters. You've seen spiders, sure, but not like these. First, a creepy brown one showed up in Georgia. Its back shaped like a manhole cover. That's the ravine trapdoor spider. Then came another sighting. A worm moved near a burrow until the ground opened up and a spider yanked it inside. That was the African kind. And if that's not enough, scientists found a third type in Australia. They aimed a light into the dirt, and a Uwaplos spider stared right back. These creatures don't chase. They wait. No webs, just silence, darkness, and a trap in the ground. Let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. Back in May 2007, a farmer in Mexico set a simple trap to catch pests ruining his crops. But what he pulled out wasn't anything close to a rat. The creature had a long tail, skinny limbs, and a skull that looked more reptile than rodent. Its eyes were too large, and its body didn't match anything from Earth. When scientists got their hands on it, the results were wild. The brain was too developed for any animal, and its DNA didn't line up with anything familiar. Around that same time, locals had been reporting strange lights in the sky. Some even said they saw flying objects hovering at night. Whether you believe it or not, this thing in the trap might have been something from way, way out of town.